All right, thank you all for attending. And we are going to go and adventure through Europe today. Who's excited? Yay! Where in Europe do you want to go? Everywhere? Cruise?
Everywhere.
Cruise?
River cruise.
River cruise? All right. Where else? Where else?
Budapest.
Budapest. All right. That's good. Greece? London? London? Anybody Greece? Greece?
Greece.
Oh, Greece? Okay, we got several hands up for Greece. Wonderful. So today we have two wonderful vendors, and they're going to be talking to you about Europe in general. And our first one is Jean from Mayflower, and she's going to talk to you today about Greece. It is a wonderful adventure through Greece. And Jean, would you like to come on up and tell them all about this wonderful trip through Greece that they can do in October?
Yes,
Wonderful.
for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
So welcome everyone. As she stated, my name is Jean Rice, and I'm the Business Development Manager for Mayflower Cruises and Tours. Who has heard of Mayflower Cruises and Tours before? Okay, we've got a few. We're not such a household name here in Florida yet, but we're certainly working on it. But we've been in business for 40 years, so we've been around a long time. But for those who know me, and when I get up and speak, I usually always start by saying a little funny that I found. So I found one I thought you might get a kick about. Here it is. It's called "A Minnesota Couple Decided to Vacation in Florida During One Particularly Cold Winter. They planned to stay at the very same hotel where they spent their honeymoon 20 years earlier. Because of hectic schedules, it was difficult to coordinate their travel schedules. So the husband left Minnesota and flew to Florida on Thursday, and his wife would fly down the following day. The husband checked into the hotel, and there was a computer in his room, so he decided to send an email to his wife. However, he accidentally left out the letter in her email address, and without realizing the error, sent the email. Meanwhile, somewhere in Houston, a widower had just returned home from her husband's funeral. He was a minister of many years who was called home to glory following a sudden heart attack. The widow decided to check her emails, expecting messages from her relatives and friends. After reading the first message, she fainted. The widow's son rushed into the room, found his mother on the floor, and saw the computer screen, which read, "To my loving wife." Subject, "I've arrived." I know you're surprised to hear from me. They have computers here now, and you're allowed to send emails to your loved ones. I've just arrived, and I've been checked in, and I see that everything has been prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you then. Hope your journey is not as uneventful as mine was. P.S. Sure is hot down here. That's one of my favorite ones. But I guess I better get down to business and talk about what I'm here for today. So since most of you don't know too much, I'm going to quickly just give you a little background on the company before I start talking about Greece. The trip, as Amanda mentioned, is going to be on October 15th of 2019. So we have a whole year to plan and get ready for it. And I have to tell you, Greece is a hot spot this year. I traveled the whole state of Florida, and we have added 8 new departures to Greece. That's how hot it is right now. So if you're contemplating this would be a great year to do it, we have great rates and some specials I'm going to talk about too as well. So just a little background on myself. I've been in the travel industry for more years than I wish to count or tell you. But I've been with Mayflower 5 years, and it's a great company. And what it was about, I think in February of this year, we had a name change. So I'm introducing you now to Mayflower Cruises and Tours. And the reason for the name change is that we were purchased by an Australian tour company, and this tour company is called the Scenic Group. And they actually own Emerald Cruise Lines and Scenic Cruise Lines, which are river cruises over in Europe. So we're really excited about that. Obviously, we've expanded our river cruise offerings. And Glenn Maroney started the tour side of the business in the river cruise side of the business in 1987. And also in 2016, we're going to do our first luxury ocean-going expedition ship called the Scenic Eclipse. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure we'll have some further information on that as we go along. We're not a large company. We have about 85 employees. We're based out of Downers Grove, Illinois. We handle everything from the flights to making sure all of your luggage is where it's supposed to be, picking it up and taking care of it so you don't have to do it. And some exciting news that we're doing that other companies don't do is that we actually now offer home pickup here. So what we do is we pick you up at your home, we take you to Orlando, to the airport and back. Obviously, if Roseborough has a group and there's 20 or 30 of us from here or around the area, we'll do a local pickup as well and take everybody at one time. So these are all of the counties now that we do the home pickup to, and I believe you're in Volusia County, is that correct?
Yes.
So you are on the list there. So that's nice. That's whether you do just individual bookings, group bookings, whatever, we'll pick you right up at your home. We, as a company, always have also tour managers on board, but we also do local step-on guides. A lot of companies don't do that, but we want to immerse you in the culture of the city and what you are doing. So we make sure we do that. We also have unique dining experiences within our group departures. And of course, nice top accommodations. Another thing that sets us apart from a lot of other companies is, do we have any solo travelers in the room? Okay, we got one here. So if you're a solo traveler or a single person and you want to travel but you don't want to pay the lovely single supplements, we will put you on what we call a guaranteed share. And that means we will put you with another person of the same sex, sorry, non-smoking, and then that way you don't have to pay the single supplement. And if we don't find you a partner to travel with, then you pay just the twin rate. So that's a good deal for everyone. We always recommend travel insurance, obviously. And with us, we have what we call Mayflower money. And this is something that you earn $5 a day for every day you travel with us. And that money is put in a little bank in our office. And then you can actually take that money for your next trip. If you book another trip within a year, you can apply that money towards your next trip. So we have lots of people that are doing that now, and it works out really well. So I'm going to quickly take you through our Greece itinerary here and tell you a little bit more about what we do. So, as you can see here, what is nice about this is a 9-day program. It's got 11 meals, and what's nice about it is that we're not staying like one night in each place. We're doing multiple nights, and we're going in and out of Athens, which makes it nice. So you fly into Athens, you spend 3 nights there, 2 nights in Mykonos, and 2 nights in Santorini. So it works out really well. It's about a 10.5-hour flight, but you know, we get there, we get started. That's the worst part. The best adventure comes after you arrive. So we're going to start in Athens, and here you're going to meet your tour manager, and in the afternoon you're going to have some free time. That's one nice thing that Mayflower does, is we try to mix free time with activity time. So that way, if you see something you like, you'll have free time to go back and enjoy it on your own. So we'll also have a welcome dinner that will be included when we arrive, and a panoramic city tour of Athens. So when you come in, you'll be able to get familiar with Athens, and you will have a guide that will tell you all about that. We're going to spend 2 nights at this hotel, which is the Titania Hotel. It's a beautiful property there. It's a 4-star property, and here's another picture of it here for you. And then we're going to do a tour with a local guide, like I mentioned. And this one, we are going to visit the ancient Parthenon, which is perched way up on the Acropolis overlooking the whole city. And I have a shot of that here to give you a little idea of where you'll be. So you'll be way up on the top there, which is beautiful. I think we have some people in the room that have done that before, right? We have some? It's an unbelievable shot from up there. So we're also going to visit the Acropolis Museum. And this is, they house like art and sculpture and historic pieces dating back. Actually, the museum was built in 447 BC and was actually completed in 438 BC. Sorry, yeah, 447 BC. So it took a long time for them to finish the museum, but it's something you really want to go and see. So we're also going to go to the Temple of Zeus in Olympia, and this was dedicated obviously to the god of Zeus. And also this is, we're going to be visiting the Arch, and this is the Arch of Hadrian's Gate, and it spans from the ancient Rome, from the center of Athens, all the way to the eastern side of the city. So you'll be hearing all about the history and what happens, and you'll be going back into time. If you are a history buff, this is definitely a trip for you, for sure. And then also we will go to the Parliament building, and we will go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, which is in front of the Royal Palace. And the tomb obviously is where the Greek soldiers killed during the war, and they the minister came and put this out in March of 2032. It was all covered up, but they undid the tomb in March of 1932. So one of the nice things is we're going to do a little island hopping, which is great. So we're going to go on the high-speed ferry to the Isles of Greece. And we'll begin with, first with Mykonos, and then we will move on from there to Santorini. So I'm going to talk a little bit quickly about Mykonos. You're going to have an orientation tour again, which we do that a lot when we arrive. We take you around and let you see and get oriented to everything. And this whole area is often called the Jewels of the Aegean. It's the most popular of the Greek islands, and it is very well preserved. There are a lot of windmills and red roof churches and whitewashed buildings. I mean, the whole area is just so beautiful. Now, this is one of my favorite shots. And I know if you're a photographer, you're going to just have a blast in this destination. As you can see, all the bright colors and everything that you're going to see. So the city tour actually highlights the island, including some of the most popular beaches, the traditional village of Anomara, and the typical village square surrounded by small Greek taverns. So, sorry, they're called Tavernese. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. How do you say it? Tavernas. Tavernas. I knew I had it right.
They're Bretta's favorite place.
Yeah, exactly. Like little Greek restaurants. That's what they are. Tavernas. I knew I was going to mess that one up. Anyway, so you're going to see those all over the place. Well, I'll talk a little bit more as we go along. So here's a picture of the town there. Here's the village that you'll be visiting. And then we spend 2 nights in Mykonos, and this is a sample of the hotel, a type of hotel you'll be staying in. So 4.5 star hotels. It would either be this one or something similar. So we'll have a full day of leisure there, which I think again is very important. You're going to have time to go and explore the island, browse the different boutiques, which I always love to do, to go shopping, and enjoy the people or do people watching, which I love to do as well as go to the local sidewalk cafes, maybe have a coffee, and really immerse yourself into the town itself. So here, this is what they call Little Venice. And what these were actually little fishing houses with the balconies that looked over the water. Now, none of them are left, unfortunately, but they've changed them all into, I'm going to say, Tarinas. Let's say it right that time. Anyway, they have like bars and restaurants and all kinds of little things in this little village. And I understand it gets quite bustling around lunchtime into the evening time. So you'll have time to go and explore that. You can have a very unique dinner. One of the nice things is being able to go and eat at local places and have local food, which is what I really love. And then we're still here in Mykonos. This would be a great opportunity for a great shop for you here. So if you're a photographer, here's a good opportunity for you. And then this town here was inhabited for over 3,000 years, and it's part of the walking tour, so you're going to get a chance to walk around in that area and take a look. A lot of artifacts can be found here, and also a museum as well. So again, a full day of leisure in Mykonos. And then we will be heading into Santorini. So we'll depart the hotel by coach. Again, we'll get on the high-speed transfer, and we'll head to what they call the Black Pearl of the Aegean. And this is one of the most breathtaking Greek islands you'll ever see. People that go, the pictures that come back are just amazing. So I'll quickly show you a couple of pictures. Again, here's a sample of the hotel. So it would be either the Santorini Palace or something similar. Some nice shots. So the properties we use there are beautiful. And then a quiet lifestyle in this area. You're going to have whitewashed houses, blue dormed churches, winding lanes filled with boutiques and shops and taverns and all kinds of things. You can sit in an open air cafe if you'd like, but just really a postcard picture of this little town. So, this is a sample of the beaches, so you'll have some free time. You can either go to the beach, or you can go to the brewing company. Here's a picture of a museum if you'd like to do that. And here's a picture of the brewing company. So again, lots of free time to be able to go and enjoy it. From there, that's the end of our wonderful journey. I know you'll have great memories that you're going to have. And we will be flying back from Athens, transferred to Athens, and then back to where we started from here in the United States, in Orlando. So again, the departure date is October 15th. The rates per person are $3,574. But remember, this includes your home pickup. It includes your airport transfers, your land, and your round-trip air out of Orlando International are all included in that rate. So there's no add-on. So it's an excellent rate when you look at it. So that's one of the things that's made it so popular. Yes?
I'm just curious, you mentioned home pickup. When we get back to the airport, does it include dropping you back off at your house?
It certainly does. We will pick you up. They'll have a little number you call. They come pick you up, and then they'll shuttle you right back here. Yes?
In the past, it was based on mileage from the airport, so is that no longer?
That is no longer. It's done by county now. So if you're in that county, then we will provide the transfer. It is done by shuttle. It's not a private transfer. So you could have somebody else that you pick up along the way, but it works out great. You don't have to pay for the parking, and I love that. So anyway, and because you're here today and you're special for Roseborough Travel, we're going to give you a little special savings. So if you deposit within 7 days, I'm going to give you $200 per couple or $100 per person if you just deposit. And we would love to have you come and try our Greece program. So thank you very much.
Jean, one of the things I did want to bring up is when we were originally setting this trip up with you, we talked about what, as you know, and as several of the people who travel with me ever know, I can't stand eating food in a hotel. It drives me insane. And this program, I don't think except breakfast, you eat it all in the hotel. It's all at local dining areas, local shops. shops, local tavernas, that sort of thing. So all of the dinners that are included or the lunches out, they're all out. They're not in the hotels. So to me, that was a huge selling point for this. Me especially. So that was a conversation.
For the foodies, it's always very good.
She had to go back to the team and she said, okay, I need to know because Amanda is a pain in my side right now and I need to know this for her. And she did. She went back and she went to the people with the boots on the floor and said, okay, feet on the ground, I need to know for the Roseborough people who are going, where are they eating? And it's true, they're not eating at hotels. So that to me was the big one, a very big deal because when you're going somewhere like Greece, you want to go out and really experience it like the locals. So not only having the local host, but having the great tour guides, and the tour guides are so knowledgeable. It's one of those things that you not only have the knowledgeable tour guides who know the history and the stories and the culture, but those local tour guides who really are so prideful of their home and that destination, but that they can bring you to those local tavernas and the places that they love to go eat at and that are traditional for the area. So
You hear all about the local economy and different things like that, which make it very interesting to see how the other side lives, right?
definitely, and phenomenal price, right? I heard several of you go, oh wow, that includes air too. It's a great price.
Good price, so.
Yes, yes. We have some flyers up here if anybody wants.
Feel free to come by and pick one up.
So my name is not young yet, but like I said, the land must be lucky because I'm getting married now in 17 days. So, but who's counting? So I think I'm going to come back here more, get to know me. You're going to see me more often. So as she mentioned, adventures in Europe with Viking. That camera, you might have a hard time staying on me. I tend to walk around. Just like Jean did, we kind of like to know who we're talking to. Some of you said you have sailed on rivers before. How many of you have sailed with ocean cruising in river or in Europe?
In Europe?
In Europe, a few. Well, I'm going to ask the same thing she did. How many of you have heard of Viking? How many of you receive 3 10 mil pieces each week? Yes. So quite a few, but yes. So Viking, yes, is a recognizable brand. We've been around for 20 years. We're the largest river cruise company. A few years ago, we decided, and you're going to hear a lot of the same things that we talked about at the last presentation, so you should be doing this with me next time you all can stand up. So 3 years ago, we decided to try our hand at ocean cruising. And I'll talk a little bit about both. I do want to introduce you to rivers. I think exploring Europe on the rivers is a completely different experience than cruising rivers on, or cruising Europe on ocean. And I'll tell you why I think that. First, I have a beautiful video. I hope we have sound after that little mess up there. But this is a great video. It was last year's brand introduction. And it just does a fabulous job introducing you to the brand, telling you about who we are and what we stand for. And they have a much better accent than I do.
When I really philosophize about it, there's really only one thing you don't have enough of, and that's time. Time is the only scarce commodity. And then, when you come to that realization, I think it's very important that you spend your time wisely. And what better way of spending time than traveling and continue to educate ourselves and continue to broaden our minds.
Sometimes the moments are majestic, others quiet and delightfully personal. But one thing is certain. Once you're out there exploring, you are never the same. That's why we travel. For 20 years, Viking has created more ways for our guests to immerse themselves in more of the world. It's a journey that began in the most unlikely of places.
5th of August August 1997, establishment of passenger fleet in Leningrad County in Russia. That is really the beginning.
From these humble roots, Viking quickly grew into the world's leading river cruise line. One of the boldest moves came in 2012 with the introduction of the revolutionary Viking longships. 2013 brought 10 more longships, a Guinness World Record. And in 2014, Viking christened 16 longships in a single day, another Guinness World Record. Viking Ocean Cruises was unveiled in 2013, with the award-winning Viking Star being christened in 2015, followed by Viking Sea in 2016. Soon after, Viking was named the world's best ocean cruise line by the readers of Traveling Leisure.
We're very proud of the design of the vessels, and after first year in operation, we are number one. And I think that's quite an accomplishment.
Looking ahead, Viking Sky and Viking Sun will launch in 2017. Viking Spirit joins in 2018, with another sister ship in 2020. And of course, we'll add more beautiful longships to explore Europe's great rivers.
I think these have been 20 interesting years, but I still feel we are just a startup. We're a small little company. Looking ahead, I think Viking has a brilliant future. We want to make sure that we deliver well on our promises. We have the strength of being young and dynamic. And I think we do meaningful things.
Introducing you to the brand. I will say, keep in mind, whatever I talk about with our River Cruise brand, it parallels our Ocean Cruise brand. So, as you heard, we've grown exponentially in the last 20 years. The growth is continuing. We're expecting to have predicting very soon to have more than 100 long ships. We've got 62 at the moment, and we've got about 10 more ships, ocean ships, on order. So they're saying by 2027, we're going to have 10 ships on the rivers, on the oceans. So great brand, growing quickly. As you see and raise your hands, our marketing is great. We're out there, we're letting you know, we're reminding you we're here. That way when you decide that you want to take that incredible trip to Europe, you're going to remember Viking. So, the Viking difference. We know that we are good at what we do. We did a great job for almost 15 years on the rivers, and we decided, hey, based on what our guests' feedback, our travel agents' feedback, we're going to do that same thing on the oceans. And the way we do that, we promise to you, we know that we're very good at what we do, and we're going to stay true to that. We're not going to try to be all things to everyone. We're not out there saying that we've got the best lounges, the best casinos, the great big ships. It's all about the small ship experience, small ship cruising, very intimate cruising. How many of you cruised over 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, you started traveling by ocean cruise? So I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and I feel that ocean cruising, river cruising, it was all designed to bring like-minded people together to enjoy great meals, great conversation, and take you to a beautiful destination. So as you've noticed over the years, the ships have gotten larger. There are more amenities. There are more things you can do. I say that there's a ship out there that you can take an entire family on, and you could probably never see the same family member once in the entire week. Maybe by design, but that's not who we are. We are staying true to that small ship experience. I feel like a throwback to what cruising was originally intended to do. So that's our promise. We can't be everything to everyone. We're going to do what we're great at. that is focused on English-speaking, mature adults with curious minds and an interest in history, culture, and geography. We take you to a destination, we immerse you in the culture through the geography, the history, cuisine. We know that food and wine are a part of that. Cuisine is a part of that culture as well. We're very destination oriented. We take you closer into these iconic port cities, these quaint towns. If you've seen any pictures of river boats, you see the landscape, rolling hills, beautiful castles, cathedrals alongside the rivers. That's what you see all the time on the rivers. I feel like 24 hours a day you're going to look out and see beautiful scenery. We're taking you inland, closer to these destinations and these beautiful cities. We offer a highly inclusive product. We don't nickel and dime you once you get on board. The price that you see, the price that you pay, includes everything, and we will package your air in that as well. And that's something we can talk about, not specifically here, but we have some great air deals right now. I've got some sheets that talk about ocean and river, both products, and some of the air, up to free air on some of our itineraries for 2019. Some of the last things that are not quite filled up yet, we do offer some free air opportunities. So we want you to pay a price, and once you get there, not hassle you once you're on board. And I'll show you how we do that a little bit later in the slide. An efficient operator, we pass these savings along to our guests. We hire the best staff in the cruise industry. We have a very high retention rate. I know that when you were here, and if anybody else was here before, I started out working on cruise ships. I always say this in every presentation. My parents used to say, "Oh yeah, we're real proud of that one. She's out calling bingo on a cruise ship." Let us tell you about our son. So over the years, it's been a great deal, and I'm extremely happy where I am now. But I started out on board, and I can speak to the best staff in the industry. It makes a difference when you pay well, you have that retention rate. Happy staff translates to happy guests once you're on board. And that's something that I think really sets us apart. Our staff and our crew, they're fantastic. So we call this the Thinking Person's Cruise. It's created for discerning travelers. Why do you travel? You travel to explore, to learn, to understand the destination. Before you go, we have filmographies, recommended reading, things that we can recommend to you to just get to know your destination before you get there. As well as on board the ship, we have an app, a self-guided tour that you can walk around, and there are pieces of art along the ship with codes. It tells you about the lounge. Intricate details that we've woven into the DNA of our product, and this app will walk you around the ship and tell you about these things. So this is before you go. Once you're on board, the activities on board and ashore all have to do with immersing you in the culture, whatever region that you're visiting, and allowing you to connect with fellow travelers, developing lifelong friendships. I know there are people that you met years ago that you probably still stay in touch with. It's that intimate experience that just causes you to connect with people. My parents still visit every other year. They go back and forth and visit somebody they met 30 years ago on a cruise. And it was, we've become friends with their children. And that was a result of spending that week on board, getting to know each other over beautiful food. As I said, cuisine and wine are a part of our journey. We have local specialties. How many of you have an adventurous palate? You like to go places? Yes, me too. You like to go places and try new things. So you will definitely have that opportunity when you're on board. If we're in Germany, you're going to have great German food. However, if you're not as adventurous, you don't have to select that cuisine. We offer specialties, the steaks, the baked potatoes, the salmon, the chicken, the salad bar, things that you're going to be more comfortable with if you're not that adventurous. But if you like to just go and try, you don't want to fill your belly being adventurous, we have on board tasting, signature events that you can taste, but you don't have to make a meal out of it. Impeccable service amid casual elegance. We have multiple dining venues. It's open seating. There are no assigned tables. It's a very casual atmosphere. I talk about I noticed the move to a more casual atmosphere started about 10 or 15 years ago. People stopped doing the formal nights, and then it accelerated when the airlines, and you remember you've been in this industry, the airlines started charging for baggage. Well, what's the first thing that goes, ladies? The extra suitcase with the formal wear, the extra pair of shoes. I shouldn't ask the ladies, I should ask the gentlemen, because you're the ones that carry those bags, right? So I noticed when that happened, the industry sort of accelerated to a more casual atmosphere. And we know that you're going to be out exploring Europe all day on our ships. We don't want you to feel like you have to rush back and get ready and make it to your assigned seat with your nice suit. Very casual atmosphere. Award-winning service. We talked about the high staff retention rate, great staff and crew, English-speaking staff. I tell stories about being in Europe. You know how difficult it is sometimes some people even have a hard time understanding me from Tennessee. But when you go to Europe and you've got a tour guide and you're really interested in the cathedral or wherever it might be that you're visiting, and there's that language barrier, that language gap, we make sure that our staff is English-speaking. I don't encounter staff that have a hard time translating anything, and that makes a different experience when you can ask questions, get a great answer, as well as our tour guides on shore. So we don't hire kids who decided to take a summer break and go work in Germany for the summer. It's people that are born there, raised there, they know the culture, definitely grown up in a part of that region, and can answer questions for you. We do offer a service guarantee. We offer a guarantee that if you get on board and you're unhappy and you're not enjoying your sailing within the first 24 hours you make that decision, we will send you home, refund you 100%, take care of your accommodations and travel to get back home. We don't have to use that, but it's there, and it's a good guarantee if you're debating on taking a river cruise or headed over to Europe. So cultural enrichment. I talked about the excursions that you have with each port. This is where I refer to being highly inclusive product. With each port of call that you visit, there's an included shore excursion. So whatever region you're visiting, there might be something that you've always heard, oh, if you go here, you must see this. If you go here, you have to visit here. That's usually what we include on that tour, whether it's a bus ride, it's a walk through the city, but it's whatever we think that's a very important part of that region that will really introduce you to that area. Culture curriculum. So on board, you have lectures, wine tastings. I talked about the signature food events where they'll create something that is known to that region and let you taste it. The port talks and destination performances. Sometimes they'll bring a local dance troupe or some sort of destination performance on board as a part of the entertainment. And personalizing your journey. If there's a reason that you've chosen an area that you want to visit, maybe you've got some family history from that particular area, and you choose not to take the excursion, we can certainly put something together, customize it for you, whether it's restaurants, visiting a location, maybe a hot spot in that area, we can definitely take care of that as well. So the way we do that, the way we immerse you in the culture, we call it the Viking way. It includes local life, the working world, and privileged access. We take you to this area, we immerse you by introducing you to the local life. A lot of the times you pull up, you're right in the heart of the city. You step off onto the bank, these people are doing life just right off the bank. They're having coffee in a cafe, they're riding their bikes, they're sunning, they're reading a book. We take you in and show you this local life. We show you what they do on a daily basis. For example, some here, Cologne's beer culture. You enjoy dinner at a historic restaurant. You can take a dip in the therapeutic waters in a spa, the Franconian countryside. You really get to see how they do life, what they do on a daily basis. The working world as well. We take you behind the scenes and show you what they do for a living, how they get those extra vacation days each year, and how they work and their schedules. Learn about the design and the function of the Kinderdijk windmills. You can see down on the bottom, the fourth picture over. This slide actually came from the itinerary that I was just on. So the Kinderdijk windmills, quickly there are 19 of these windmills. They still function, and they explain why they were necessary, how they started, where they came from, why they're useful, why they're still in service. They take you to a workshop and show you how they function, because 17 of the 19 of these are inhabited. So as long as they've been there, people have lived in these windmills. So you get to go in, I feel like it's kind of like a tree house. When you live there, it's different little levels where the bed is here, the kitchen area is here, but people still live in these. And so you get to take a walk in and see what they have to do to maintain these. That's part of the requirement. If you live there, you do have to maintain it. So they show you how they lubricate, how they keep everything, the wheels functioning, the windmills going, and how these people live. Wine cellars, visit a cheese farm, in-depth look at how these products are made, and privileged access. Viking does a fantastic job taking you behind the scenes of things you might not have access to otherwise. We take a lot of people to Europe every year. That's also why we have great cheer. We have great air rates going to Europe. We take lots and lots of people to Europe. So we also have connections with a lot of people that can make your experience even more special. So I talk about the inclusive value. The short excursion is included in each port of call. All of your onboard meals for lunch and dinner, your wine and beer is included as well. So the reason we don't say we're all inclusive, there are a few things that we don't include, and there's a reason. Alcoholic beverages, if you want an additional cocktail, if you want to have a Bloody Mary in the morning, you will pay an additional charge. So what comes with it is your beer and wine for lunch and dinner. If you like a glass of wine, or you like a beer with your dinner, and that's enough, you're going to be perfectly fine. But we do have the option of upgrading to a package that will include every single drink that we have on board, regional wines, etc. One thing I love about Viking, I like wine, and I like to try wines from certain regions. We don't have a corking fee. You can go off the ship and buy a bottle of wine, bring it on the ship. They're not going to question you. They're not going to take it. They want you to experience it. That's the brand essence. We want you to know the culture. So if you bring a bottle of wine on board, they'll open it for you and pour it right there at the dinner table. So very generous with their wine and beer. So specialty coffees and teas, also, those are all included. There's a nice little espresso maker machine and pastries, cookies. I learned to go the other way into the lounge so that I didn't pass the cookies, because every time I would grab one, not good. So that's the only thing, and I know this question will come up at the end, gratuities. That is really the only thing that at the end of your trip you will have additional. And we don't include those in. We want you, at your discretion, to tip how you choose. And I like to put it this way, I like to see how well the staff and crew treats you, knowing that it's up to you whether or not you're going to tip at the end of the week. I've never walked away not wanting to tip above and beyond. They do a fantastic job, your program director as well. But that is the one reason that we can't say we are all inclusive. Same thing with the short excursions. There's one with each port of call. But if there's something additional that you would like to do, we do have several options in addition that you can purchase. So I'm going to talk about an onboard credit deal that we have. If you look within the next, I think it's 2 weeks that we've got it set up, that people say, well, what do you do if everything's included? You can use that for additional short excursions. You can upgrade to the drink package if you choose, but we'll talk about that in a second. Bottled water replenished daily. Ladies, bottled water, sometimes when you travel, your bill will rack up. So, once you pay $6 for a bottle of water 18 times, you've spent $300 in bottled water. Bottled water included. Every time we walk off of our ship, you can grab a bottle or two. At night, they replenish the water in your stateroom as well. So you've got glass bottles on the river, and we've got plastic bottles on ocean ships, but water aplenty. Wi-Fi is included. You can stay connected. I will say it is a satellite, just like any other ship, so it's not going to be the best service you're used to. It's not the quick Wi-Fi we're used to at home, but it does allow you to remain connected, and there is no charge for that. Our first class hotels, for any of our itineraries, and if you've ever looked through the brochure, you can see the itinerary northbound, southbound, east, west, whichever direction it goes. You can go from one end to the other or reverse. So all of our itineraries, except for like the world voyage, if anybody's interested in our 245-day world cruise, it's one way. But all of our itineraries offer you either direction, and you can do pre or post excursions in either direction. First class hotels, or you can choose to do both. All port charges and government taxes. So as I said, no nickel and diming. We came back this summer, our bill was $16. There was a bourbon that was put on there the first night. Don't know whose it was. I don't drink bourbon, he doesn't drink bourbon, but I said as much free wine as we got, I'll take some care of somebody's bourbon drink for them. Sometimes if you travel, you get to the end of the week and your bill is higher than the actual trip. Does that ever happen? So Viking longships, These are the state-of-the-art sister ships that they talked about. We christened 10 in one day, we christened 16. We've got several more that are coming. They're identical. There's a reason that we designed them identical, several reasons actually, but I'll talk about that in a second. I will show you some of the staterooms. We have 2 Explorer suites at the very back. That doesn't work on the TV. Beautiful staterooms, wraparound balconies at the back of the ship. Larger staterooms, gorgeous view, 24/7. You've got that gorgeous wraparound balcony. So you can see at the top the sun deck. These ships are very narrow. And I always look at the room I'm presenting in. This room is actually a lot wider than the river ships are narrow. So from maybe this wall to halfway through the room, that's your long ship. So you can see they're very small, sleek design. The entire upper deck is for viewing. We want you to sit up there. There's umbrella seats, there are the loungers, there are chairs, there are tables if you want to take your lunch up and enjoy up there, but it's for viewing. Even if you're on the ship and we're sailing in the day, sometimes we sail in the day, sometimes we sail at night, we want you to see what's out there because it's magnificent. So I'll talk about the staterooms. There are 3 levels of staterooms, and then toward the front you can see this is the restaurant, the lounge, the Aquavit Terrace, where you can actually have your lunch or your dinner outside up on deck and enjoy the views. Something I want to point out, 190 guests. So this is very small, intimate passenger experience. When you're on your tours, we actually put you with different people each day. So by the end of the week, you really feel like you've gotten to know a lot of these passengers because you're always with someone different. 95 staterooms. Beautiful spaces, floor-to-ceiling glass, gorgeous views. Even if you're in the dining room, if you're in your stateroom, we want you to see out. Light-filled spaces, designed on purpose. So this is the guest service desk. Little things that are, I could talk for days and tell you about the little things that we do, the things that I especially love. Every time you walk off the ship, in addition to your bottle of water, they give you a map. So if you come back from your excursion and you go out, they give you a map of the city. That way you can navigate your way around. This summer, for example, he took the map. He can read a map for 2 days. I don't even know what he's reading there, but he does it. And I'll say, take me to a coffee shop. We find a little coffee shop. We follow his map. And they give you a little card. So when you get lost, it has the address of the ship that you hand your taxi driver in case you can't find your way back. So it's very helpful if you can't read that map or get turned around. You always know how to get back to the ship. But that's here at the guest services, 24 hours. There's somebody there. Here's the atrium. So you can see the outside. Very, very narrow. This second floor takes you into the dining room. The third floor takes you into the beautiful lounge that you could sit and enjoy. There's a bar up there, but just beautiful viewing. Here's your restaurant, as I talked about, very casual. I call it a country club casual. Everyone in this room, except shorts, are allowed in the dining room. Very casual. It's sometimes sport coats. I'll see men in sports coats, but not the majority. The Viking Lounge and Bar. So this is up in the lounge area at night. People say, well, what is there to do at night? We have an evening entertainment. We have a pianist on board. They do trivia. There are lots of things that they do at night up in this lounge. Oh, and then this is the lounge area. So you can see the baby grand back there. And just comfortable, cozy space. Very inviting. This happened, I think, last time. The pictures were gone. They're on the computer. But the Aquavit Terrace, close your eyes, imagine that you're having lunch, dinner at the front of the ship and you can see out so you don't have to miss a view. We have a library. So here's the sun deck. So this shows you how narrow the ship is. There's an herb garden at the top. So sometimes you'll see the ship actually walk off the ship into the city. Tomatoes, vegetables, whatever it is, spices that he'll get. The one thing I love about our river ships, there are no freezers. Nothing is frozen. It's all fresh. You know, you could prepare 190 meals, each meal very fresh. We don't have to take anything frozen, and the food is fantastic. So here are the staterooms. I know I'm probably getting close to running out of time. Well, that's the beautiful Explorer. I don't know why they did this last time. I think it was the ship that didn't show up. So this is the Explorer Suite. So it's 445 square feet. That's pretty large to be in a stateroom on a ship. This is the beautiful Explorer Suite bathroom. I always joke about this window you can see out. We don't want you to miss anything, even if you're in the shower. I don't trust it. I don't trust it, but you can certainly shower and keep an eye on what's going on outside.
So all the people will ever see you again. Don't worry about it.
Just don't go on YouTube after you come back. So the veranda suite is the next step down from that Explorer Suite. 275 square feet. You have a separate reading area, like a little sitting nook. Then you have the bedroom in the back. One thing I will note, all of our staterooms on oceans and rivers have heated bathroom floors. Makes a difference, especially if you're doing the Christmas markets or anything in the fall and winter where it's a little cooler. You've got those warmer bathroom floors. It just adds a little touch. Here's the veranda suite bathroom as well. This is the veranda stateroom. So this is on the third deck, and you can see you've got a balcony. You step out and you have a seating area on your balcony. So it's really nice if you don't want to go upstairs, if you don't want to sit, even though it's not very far, you can open the door and sit out on your balcony. Plenty of space. One thing I know, you've got lots of outlets. You know, we travel now with Apple Watches and iPhones and computers and cameras. There are many, many, many outlets. Used to, I would smuggle on one of those 9-strip, extension cords, and they would always like put a note on it and say this is not allowed on the ships. I don't have to do that anymore because we have several outlets. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's the stateroom, and you see out there window. The other side of your room is just a blank wall.
So where I'm standing right now, I would be in the bathroom, and then the closets are in front of me. So you step here, like this is like the little hallway. So right here is going to be your bathroom, and I'll show you an overhead view of it. So your bathroom is here. There's closet space here, and then the door to the hall.
Is there a stateroom that backs up to your stateroom, so you're two across, or is it just one across the ship?
Nope, we do not have any inside staterooms. They're all ocean views.
Okay.
On our oceans and rivers. So across the hall, when you open your door and step out into the hall, there's another door of a person that will come out to you, and there's no inside. They're all ocean view. Did that make sense? Did that answer your question?
I guess so.
Well, think about, and we'll talk about it later. So the French balcony. So this is a little different. This is a little lower to the water line, so we don't have the balcony that you can step out on. The balcony door opens and you can step out onto it, but you don't have the seating area, so it's slightly smaller, but you can still step out and enjoy the views. Same stateroom, plenty of storage. And the standard stateroom, 150 square feet. Still a great stateroom. We call this the wildlife viewing stateroom. You can see the swans. This is where I travel as an employee, but it's a beautiful stateroom. You just can't step out onto that balcony or take a gander outside. So quickly, River Cruise highlights. The Grand European, picture missing. I always choose this one. This is 15 days, 12 guided tours, 4 countries. This combines 2 of our most popular river cruises. So our 2 most popular rivers are the Rhine and the Danube. If you're going to make the trip over to Europe and spend the 8 to 9 hours to get there, if you've got those extra days, I encourage you to stay a little bit longer if you can, and this combines the best of both. So it's the Grand European. The picture's not there to show you, but you've got Netherlands, Germany, Austria, and Hungary. And then here's the map that shows you. So you've got the Rhine, and then it connects with the Danube. Beautiful itinerary. If you've got the extra days, well worth it. We've got some free air actually for 2019 on that particular sailing. So if that's something you're interested in. So here's the Rhine getaway, Amsterdam to Basel, 8 days, 4 countries. And as I said before, you can do Amsterdam at the beginning and end in Basel, or you can switch it and do it the reverse direction. So if you want to spend some time in Amsterdam, go in a few days prior, or you can do it at the end of your tour, or both. The Romantic Danube, this is the other popular one, And I've got brochures. Before you leave, if you're interested, I'll kind of walk you through the brochures, but I've got river and also ocean brochures, and then I've got the small little pamphlets that we send out that you might have received in the mail that have the specials of what our air promotions are right now, including some free air. And then there's the Danube. So heavy Germany, Austria, and Hungary. Some of the 2018, 19, and even 2020, we've got the Rhone Explorer, we've got Holland and Belgium in bloom, and we're going back to Egypt in 2019. So, quickly, Viking Ocean. We did a great job on the rivers. People said, hey, you've got beautiful coastal port cities, the iconic port cities that are along the coast. We'd like to visit those with Viking. So in 2015, we launched our ocean cruise product. Everything you heard me say about rivers is true on board, and more oceans. So I'll kind of skip through it quickly. All of our ships are identical. All of our ocean ships, identical, on purpose. Once you sail with us once, you don't have to spend the first 2 days getting on board and trying to figure out your way around. We have designed them identically. More time in port. They're still very small, so they allow us to get into some of the smaller ports where you don't have 16,000 people dumped off in one single day. You can still get into some of the rivers. Even some of our ocean ships go in a little further inland on the rivers because they're a smaller design. So you've got that more time in port. We always talk about Europe, you know, some of the beautiful pictures she was talking about in Greece. Mykonos, my favorite place I've visited, Santorini. They're beautiful in the day, but at night, completely different experience. It's a completely different culture at night than it is in the day, so we want you to experience that. We give you more time in port. Having these smaller ships and these river ships allow us to do that, spend more time there. So our ocean ships, if you're looking for small ship cruising, 930 guests or less. That is still considered very small ship cruising. And the prime central berths, you know, Venice, London, Hong Kong. I'm not sure about Venice with the flooding they had the other day, but a lot of the ports were still able to get in and get you closer because they're smaller. And skip that, not showing up. We love our Cruise Critic Awards. Cruise Critic, we talk about it, that's you. Cruise Critic is not industry related as far as the travel agents pick who they think is the best because of the supplier or their relationship with us. This is you, the guest, after you return, you come home, Cruise Critic. You have voted us #1 in all of these categories, and year after year, we just continue to take lots of awards, Cruise Critic, as well as many others. So, as I wrap it up, the things that we do not do, because sometimes when you get 2 bits of information or other suppliers, it's easier to walk away with what we don't do. No casinos, no children under 18. It's an adult product. Staterooms only hold 2 people, so you're not going to see families because you can't stack several people in a stateroom. No umbrella drinks, no photographers. We're an adult cruise line, we're going to treat you like an adult. We're not going to put a parrot on your shoulder and ask you to smile and take a picture. No photographers, no art auctions, no formal nights unless you want to. I certainly dressed up on my 40th birthday. It wasn't out of place, people expected it and toasted me with champagne. You can do that if it's an anniversary celebration. No art auctions, no smoking, no charge for beer and wine at lunch or dinner, no charge for the Wi-Fi, no charge for laundry on ocean, no entrance fee for the spa on the ocean, no sales pressure, no inside rooms, no butlers, no white gloves. We don't want you to pay the white glove service. We don't want you to pay the all-inclusive alcohol service if you're not going to take advantage of that. If you're not a drinker, there's no sense in us being all-inclusive and including those charges that bump up that price because you're going to drink. We don't do that. The price is a great price, highly inclusive product. And no charge for any of our restaurants on board, the alternative restaurants on the ocean ships. 8 options on the ocean ships. These ships are much larger, so we're able to add several venues, areas. There's the ship, just like rivers, all ocean view or all balcony staterooms. There's not even an ocean view stateroom. They're all veranda staterooms.
The all-round.
And I'll just flip through some of the pictures on board. The ships are gorgeous. I was telling the girls from Roseborough, we've just done this tour down the coast. Our ships were doing the Canada, New England, and then they were doing, like one's doing cultural Cuba right now, and we followed them down the coast. So So I started 2 weeks ago in Montreal, flew to Halifax, flew to Boston, flew to New York, flew to Miami, came here. I'm going back to Miami in the morning to show the travel agents the ships, to introduce people to the ships because it's just beautiful and we want you to get on board. The pictures don't do it justice, just like I talked about Greece. You have to go there, touch it, feel it, smell it to do any. So we have some Explorer suites on the oceans as well, gorgeous wraparound. There are 9 of these, front or the back. You get that entire wraparound balcony. You've got penthouse junior suites with a separate living area, double vanity sinks, ladies, you know how important those are. The penthouse veranda, gorgeous spaces, deluxe veranda. And then quickly, I always choose this one. This is one of our more popular ones, the Viking Homelands. It's an introduction to 8 countries. If you're gonna go and you're a country collector, I always choose an itinerary based on how many countries I get to visit, because I'm one of those that likes to talk about it and post on Facebook. I'm here, I'm there, and do my little filters where, bragging people are like not friending me because they don't want to see where I am today. But this is a great itinerary. 15 days. You get 3 overnights. You're in Stockholm, St. Petersburg, and you're also in Bergen at the end of the trip. And you can do this in the reverse order as well. So there you go. Gorgeous map, the Baltic Sea. And some of our new ones, Barcelona to Copenhagen. We're doing Greece. So if you like to do Greece by boat, by ship. Barcelona to Venice, this is a new one. We're doing Alaska. However, Alaska's already sold out for 2019. And I will tell you, as I wrap it up, this is the exclusive offer that we talked about. You get a $200 per cabin shipboard credit for new bookings booked between today and the 26th. So if you're ready to pull the trigger, which off the record I will tell you, we're 85% sold out ocean for 2019. We're 70% sold out rivers for 2019. This product is unbelievable. If you ask why your deposit is required so soon in full payment, the urgency, if you're planning your 2019 vacation, you might have missed it this year with us. But 2020 is ready. We're already booking for 2020, and we're getting ready, unbelievably, to open 2021 for our ocean ships. It's unbelievable, the demand. And people say, where are you going here? Can you go here? Well, we are doing the best we can with building these ships. You just don't build these guys overnight. But the demand for the product just speaks to the brand and the popularity of the brand. So if you've tried to look at 2019 and we're sold out, it's not a glitch in the system. So if you're wanting to pull the trigger, new bookings, I would encourage that if you're looking for 2019. So like I said, Alaska's already sold out for 2019, some of our ocean product, and it will continue toward the end of the year to fill up. So that was a lot of information in a short time. I could go on for days, and I'm not going anywhere until tomorrow, so if you want to stick around and ask questions, I'll certainly talk about it. But I do want to just open up the floor if there are any questions that anybody has specific. Yes?
On river cruises, I remember one time hearing because of the drought, there wasn't enough water.
Yes. So that comes up every presentation. 2 things I'll talk about. If you travel in the fall to the Caribbean, there's a small percentage that you might end up hurricane season, but there's also a very large percentage that your trip will be uninterrupted. Same thing somewhat for Europe's rivers. We never can tell. The one thing that we've done to kind of counter that trip interruption, so our ships, I talked about being designed identically. I talked about at all times we've got ships going either direction. So what we do is we tell you in advance, and Viking, fortunately, I've not experienced myself having to change the ships, but the feedback I get is they're it's a seamless process considering you do have to pack. You pack your luggage back before you leave on your excursion that day. You go on your excursion, you don't realize what's happening, but they're completely flipping the other ship and getting it clean. So your ship can't go through the lock, this ship going this way can't get through the lock. We just turn the ships around, we unpack you, or you unpack on a new ship, your program director goes with you, and you continue on the direction that you were sailing. So that's a way that we're able to not cause you to think in the Caribbean, you're going to Western Caribbean. There's a hurricane, you're not going to Western Caribbean, you're going to Eastern Caribbean. So that's how we have designed it so that you don't have to miss your itinerary and you can continue in the direction of your sailing. Now, with that being said, there are some cruises this year, the Rhine and the Danube especially, that their rivers have been so low we've actually had to cancel. And you know, that's a Mother Nature thing, just like a hurricane. You never can predict it, and it can change within 24 hours. So it is something that could potentially come up, but as many sailings as we have and as many passengers that sail, it's a very small percentage when it does affect the guests. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. That always comes up. Any other questions? You want to talk about my wedding, anybody?
For comparison, we've only had 2 clients this year that have been canceled out of their cruise. So it's at least not. So, and they actually weren't our clients, they came into us to save their trip. And so that was good. We saved their trip and put them on a different trip, but.
Good. Well, I was in Fort Myers, no, it wasn't, Tallahassee, Saturday doing a show. And a couple came up to me and they said, we're sailing in a few weeks. Viking has done very good with communicating to us, hey, there's a possibility that this might happen. Here's what we do. Now, and one thing I'll say about rivers, there are 190 passengers. It's like that game you played when you were little and you'd start out and by the time it got around to the other person. However, the communication never changed. I mean, it's so good because it's such a small, intimate ship. The communication spreads like wildfire. So if the cruise program director says, hey, here's what's going to happen. We are noticing that there's some drought down the river. This could happen. They will make announcements. There's very clear communication. It's not like they're trying to communicate to 6,000, 7,000 people what's going on. It's a very small deal, and they'll talk about it in the port talks and kind of prepare you, whether you're on board or prior to your sailing. And Viking does a great job. You know, that's one thing that part of the experience is being prepared. And I think that that's attention to detail and the things that we do to prepare you for that make a huge difference in your vacation. Good question. Anything else?
Does the crew change with that too?
So your program director does, and that's the person that you've really gotten to know. I never see my cabin steward. I know who they are. I see them down the hall, but I never see them. You kind of get to know your dining staff, so it's sad sometimes to have to leave them, but it is your program director, and he's the one that does the port lectures, he or she. So the port lectures, the port talks, every excursion you look out, and like, there he is, there she is, how is this possible? But that's the person that you really get to know, and they do travel with you.